You're going to tell me I'm crazy. I know. You're going to tell me I'm delusional. I don't know what I'm talking about. What games have I been watching all year? Believe me, I've heard it before. But I think that today, the Chicago Bears have a legitimate path to victory over New Orleans. I do. John, what are you talking about? New Orleans is great. 12-4. Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, Mike Thomas. Are you an idiot? I'm not. But the Saints' record, and Drew Brees specifically, are two of the most deceptive things in the NFL today. When you hear the name Drew Brees, what do you think of? MVP, 5,000 passing yards, great quarterback, Super Bowl winner. None of those things apply to Drew Brees today. He's 41. He can't throw the ball downfield anymore, 5 to 10 yards only. He's been beat up. He was hurt this year. He's not an essential part of the Saints offense. And he's about to retire. At the end of this year, he's done. His mind is already in retirement mode. He has no motivation to do what he did before. His career could not be better for an NFL quarterback. All-time passing yards leader. All-time touchdown leader. Super Bowl win. First ballot Hall of Famer. Pish-posh NBC TV gig. There's nothing more he needs. And by the way, when he was out, the Saints still won. They still did fine. They didn't need him. Last year, when Teddy Bridgewater came in, the Saints still won. They didn't need him. Drew Brees is no longer an essential must-have piece for the New Orleans Saints offense. If anything, he's more of a liability, and here's why. You could look at his numbers and say, wow, what a year he's had, but he can't throw the ball downfield. He needs a ton of protection, and he relies so heavily on the gadget pieces around him. Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders. Without those four players, Drew Brees this year would be an average NFL quarterback. All of the yards and touchdowns and stats he racks up come after the catch. And because New Orleans has an outstanding run game, the pass game opens up. It's that simple. Drew Brees is small. He's not mobile. And if the Bears' pass rush can be what it should be, he'll be in a lot of trouble. Imagine Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, Roquan Smith, all coming after him, playing head games with him, replicating what they did against Tampa when they took down Tom Brady. That's possible. If that happens, New Orleans will have to solely rely on the run game. And if the Bears know the run is coming, it won't be that effective. That's the biggest worry, Alvin Kamara. Probably the best dual-threat running back in the NFL today, no question. 5 yards per carry, catches the ball, runs for 1,000 yards per year. He's the whole package. But if the Bears neutralize the passing game, if they force Drew Brees to make bad decisions and try and throw the ball downfield and get him to make a mistake, the Saints will have no choice but to run the football. They have Kamara, they have Murray. If the Bears know it's coming, they'll defend it. They've shut down running backs this year. Dalvin Cook, great example. I guarantee you, Alvin Kamara is not going to rush for 6 touchdowns against the Bears defense. I know they're not great. I know in years past they were better, but there is no chance Alvin Kamara rushes for 5 or 6 touchdowns. The Bears have to force Drew Brees to be out of his comfort zone. They have to force the Saints to prioritize running the football. They have to make Drew Brees make a mistake. In essence, they have to let Drew Brees beat them. Force Drew Brees to beat you. Force him to be who he was 10, 15 years ago. He is not that quarterback anymore. If you force him to be that, he won't do it. And you'll have a field day defensively. And you will win the game. Plain and simple. Now, offensively, the Bears have to commit to the run game. I can't stress this enough. And fortunately, they have recently with David Montgomery. But there can't be 10, 15 carries. No, 25 to 30. 25 to 30 carries for David Montgomery. Average 4 yards a carry, get 100 yards. That's what they need. That opens up play action. That opens up rollouts. And those are, without question, Mitch Trubisky's strengths. He loves plays like that. Roll out, throw near the line of scrimmage, have the receiver do the work. Play action, slant up the middle, 10, 15 yards, have the receiver run more and do more work for you. They have to establish the run. It's so important. And we saw that completely neglected in the Green Bay game. It wasn't as prioritized as it was in weeks past. Instead, the Bears wanted to pass. They took Mitch out of his comfort zone. They said, take some shots downfield. That's not who he is. And that doesn't mean he's a bad quarterback. There are a couple of quarterbacks in the NFL today who aren't capable of throwing it downfield. They still win games. They still put up numbers. Alex Smith and Drew Brees. 2 great examples. I know they're older, their arms aren't stronger, they were injured. Still, despite all of that, when we're just comparing performances, not injuries, they win. Alex Smith is a winning quarterback. Drew Brees is a winning quarterback. And although his philosophy today is different from 10 years ago, he still wins football games. His numbers are a bit deceiving, but in the end, he wins. He has enough weapons around him to change the game. He himself directly, maybe not, but with the weapons, he does. Mitch Trubisky could be that same quarterback, and he could prove a lot on Sunday. Imagine if Mitch wins. What are people going to say then? They'll probably say, what? It was deceiving. It shouldn't have happened. They caught Drew Brees on a bad day. They caught the Saints on a bad day. They're 12-4. No, give me a break. The Saints are deceiving. I know they're good, but they're deceiving. We talk about the Saints every single year as Super Bowl contenders. And every year, in the first round of the playoffs, they find a way to screw it up. They can't beat Minnesota. They cry so loud about a missed PI call that the NFL changes the rule for them for 1 year to pay him back. I still can't believe that happened. Look, on the outside, they want to win a Super Bowl. But Drew Brees on the inside knows he already has one. His mentality is not, I'm going to leave it all out on the field. I'm going to do what I can to win. His mentality is, I hope I'm in one piece in a couple of weeks so I could retire. That's what it is. He's 41. And if you remember, they already played each other this year. It went to overtime. The Bears were in it all game, and they had Nick Foles in. And Nick Foles did okay. 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 93 passer rating. If Mitch could do the same, or do just a tick better, the Bears could win. And keep in mind, that was back when there was no run game established. When David Montgomery wasn't rushing for 100 yards per game. When he didn't even get 15 to 20 carries a game, let alone more. The Bears were a much different team back then compared to today. So the question is, what will they do? Are they going to abide by that horrible game plan? Like the one we saw against Green Bay? No running, forcing Mitch to be out of his comfort zone, throw the ball downfield, hope for a miracle? Or are we going to see what they did against Houston and Jacksonville and Minnesota? An emphasis on running. Defensive stops when needed. Not all the time, but when needed. Mitch, throwing the ball 5 to 10 yards only. No deep balls, no crazy shots downfield. He could take risks. What are we going to see? What should we expect? I would hope the Bears abide by that game plan. I would hope the Bears prioritize running. Allow Mitch to stay comfortable. Get the playbook away from Matt Nagy. I hope that happens. And I hope the defense can just be competent. Hey, it'd be great if they could come in and be the 2018 Bears, but no one's asking for that. Just don't drop an interception, please. Don't waste away easy turnovers. Just do your job. Your job is to wreak havoc on Drew Brees. Your job is to force New Orleans to prioritize running the football only. Your job is to scare the Saints out of even thinking about passing the football. That's your job on Sunday. And oh, by the way, if Drew Brees does throw down the field and make a mistake, which he's bound to do, catch the damn football. Just catch it. I know you're not wide receivers, but you could catch it. If that happens, I don't see why the Bears couldn't win. There's a real possibility here. You'll hear national media, some local media tell you otherwise, but that's not the case. The Saints aren't as mighty as people make them out to be. And the Bears played them well in the regular season with Nick Foles. It went to OT. Just because the Bears are 8-8 doesn't mean they're not talented. The Bears have so much individual talent, it's actually mind-boggling that no one gives them recognition. Allen Robinson, primo number 1 wide receiver. David Montgomery, great running back. Darnell Mooney, good year. Roquan Smith, Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks. Mitch Trubisky to an extent. This isn't the New York Jets. This isn't a team with no talent, trying to tank. They're here for a reason. They were considered one of the top 7 teams in their conference. I don't care about the new seeding and the new format they're in. They're 8-8. What happens if the Bears do win? What will people say? How will this be spun? Who returns? What does this determine, if anything? This is as big a game as the Packers game, if not bigger. It was ridiculous to me to determine all this stuff based on one Packers game. Should Mitch stay or leave? Well, we'll see what they do. Should Matt Nagy be fired? Well, we'll see if they beat the Packers. Will Ryan Pace return? Well, it depends on that one game. It's a Week 17 game. And they got in. Now it's the postseason. These games matter more and more. The narrative about Mitch not beating a good team, that could go away. And if you all recall, back in 2018, Mitch did not do bad in that Eagles game. He did put the Bears in the best chance to win. And had it not been for Cody Parkey, Mitch would be an undefeated playoff quarterback too. He can beat good teams. Maybe not this year yet, but he's done it before. He's played in the postseason before. He knows what the atmosphere is like, and he knows the pressure surrounding him and his team. He's still fighting for a contract, not with just the Bears, but with any team. He's still fighting to tell people, hey, I belong in the NFL. I'm not a bad quarterback. Ryan Pace is fighting to justify the roster he has. See, they're good, I told you. Matt Nagy is already retained, but he's fighting for legitimacy. Stop questioning him, right? He wants people to stop questioning him and stop questioning all of his quote-unquote success already. Guys on this team are fighting. Much different from New Orleans. Drew Brees is fighting for absolutely nothing. As of today, we still don't know if Alvin Kamara will play. Michael Thomas, although good, has been in and out all year. He hasn't fully committed. There are holes. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Don't soak in the idea that the Bears have absolutely no shot. Everyone's saying it. Vegas, other pundits. It's not necessarily the case. The Saints are deceptive. Their record is, and Drew Brees certainly is. Stop remembering him from 2010. Remember him for 2020. Remember the Saints for 2020. Without Drew Brees, they still won. Last year, without Drew Brees, they still won again. He doesn't do much anymore to control the outcome of a game. If the Bears could just plug up Alvin Kamara, they're going to be fine. It's going to be a close game. So do yourselves a favor. Don't believe all the hype. Don't be told the Bears have no chance, you're crazy. It's not true. It isn't. The NFL playoffs are 10 times different from the NBA, the MLB, the NHL. It's one game. Who's better on that day? The Saints may be the better team, yes. On that day, who's going to be better? That's what you have to ask yourself. On this one specific Sunday, who's going to be the better team? Saints or Bears? And I think in a winner-go-home matchup in the playoffs, anything is possible. The Bears have a path to victory. It may be narrow. It may be tough to visualize. But I believe they do. And if they do win, it's going to be a very interesting day Monday morning. What will the new narrative be? What will be peddled by everyone? Who will be given credit? If they lose, what happens? It's a very interesting time to be following this team. And this game is far from over, even though everyone tells you it already is. More to come. here on Sports Talk Chicago. My interview with Bob Nightingale comes up next, so stay tuned. Hey, do you want to make some money this weekend? What if I told you I could offer you $250 free to bet on any game you want? Here's what you have to do. Go to sportstalkchicago.com/cash. sportstalkchicago.com/cash. You must be 21 plus. You must be an Illinois resident. You could bet $250 free on any game you want for this upcoming weekend. Bears Saints. The Bears are plus 9.5. I'm betting Bears if I were you. Use this promo code and bet the Bears because that line is ridiculous, and that's an easy way to win some money. Go to sportstalkchicago.com/cash. sportstalkchicago.com/cash. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.